My name is Nam. For 2 years, I worked as a sales executive for Horizon Estates, a real estate company that specialized in developing land plots and so-called social housing projects in the city's expanding outskirts. Our office was always bustling, filled with hopeful families, young couples, and retired individuals looking for a place to build their future. We showcased impressive 3D models, glossy brochures with lush green parks, modern homes, and promises of thriving communities. We sold dreams, concrete dreams, and I was good at it. I genuinely believed I was helping people secure their piece of paradise. But behind the polished marble floors of our showroom and the persuasive voices of our sales team, Horizon Estates was a meticulously constructed illusion. It was a place where trust was exploited for profit, where legal loopholes were weaponized, and where people's life savings simply vanished into thin air. Looking back, I wasn't just selling properties. I was an unwitting participant in an elaborate, soul-crushing scam, leaving countless families with nothing but empty pockets and shattered hopes. My initial days were all about learning the pitch, emphasize prime location, future development potential, and secure legal documents. The first red flag was the pressure to sell early bird plots and projects that were barely beyond a vague map. We were told to secure deposits quickly to create a sense of urgency. Don't let them think too much, Nam, my manager, a sharp-suited, charismatic man named Mr. Long, would advise. Show them the dream, get the money. Details can be sorted later. But what about the permits, Mr. Long? The construction timelines? I'd ask. He'd just smile, a glint in his eyes. Paperwork takes time. The dream, that's what sells. And the sooner they buy, the cheaper it is. The real horror began with the ghost projects. We would sell land plots in areas that, to my knowledge, were just barren fields. The maps we showed clients were beautiful, complete with schools, hospitals, and shopping centers that simply didn't exist, not even on paper. These were purely conceptual, drawn up by graphic designers, not urban planners. Clients would eagerly sign contracts, paying hefty deposits for land that was either not legally zoned for residential development or still embroiled in complex land disputes, or sometimes just non-existent on our company's actual portfolio. It was a massive shell game. I remember selling a plot to an elderly couple who had saved every penny from their small business for decades. They wanted a quiet place to retire. I showed them a beautiful rendering of a park nearby, perfect for their morning walks. They signed, filled with joy. Months later, they called me, distraught. The park was still a dusty and used field, and local residents told them the area was designated for an industrial zone, not residential housing. When they tried to get their money back, they were met with a wall of legal clauses in their contract that made it almost impossible. The small print had disclaimers about conceptual designs and future changes. Then came the multiple sales of the same plot. This was the most audacious and sickening tactic. We would sometimes quietly sell the same desirable land plot to 2, sometimes even 3 different buyers. Each buyer would have a seemingly legitimate contract, but the real legal ownership would be murky, or only one contract would truly be valid. The first buyer to demand their rights might get the plot, but the others would be left fighting for a refund that almost never came, or battling endless legal disputes that drained their remaining resources. It was a deliberate, cruel double-cross, playing one desperate buyer against another. The chilling realization dawned on me. Our company wasn't building communities. It was building a pyramid of lies, collapsing on the hopes of ordinary people. The glossy brochures, the persuasive pitches, the smiling faces of my colleagues, they were all part of a grand deception. Every time I shook a client's hand, accepting their life savings, I felt a cold knot in my stomach. The dreams we sold, these concrete dreams, were actually turning into empty promises, built on foundations of sand and deceit, leaving behind nothing but the haunting silence of shattered hopes. The joy of selling dreams had curdled into the bitter taste of complicity. Every time I pitched a non-existent park or a future hospital, I felt like a fraud. But Mr. Long, my manager, was a master at rationalization. It's just marketing, Nam, he'd say, flashing his perfect smile. All developers do it. We're selling potential, not just dirt. And besides, if they get their land, who cares if the park comes 10 years later? But the potential often turned into a nightmare. Clients, having paid their large deposits, would try to visit their plots, only to find impassable roads, swampy land, or even aggressive locals who claimed rightful ownership. The company would dispatch a team of problem solvers, usually intimidating men who specialized in making disputes disappear, often with veiled threats or by offering paltry settlements that were a fraction of the client's investment. It was a brutal system of intimidation, designed to wear down the victims until they gave up. One incident truly shook me. A young couple, both factory workers, had poured every penny, including their parents' retirement savings, into a social housing apartment from our project. The building was supposed to be completed within 18 months. After a year, only the foundation had been laid. They came to the office, frantic, showing me photos of the stalled construction site, already overgrown with weeds. They had been paying monthly installments, but the building was nowhere near completion. "Mr. Long," I pleaded, "they've been paying faithfully. We need to do something." Mr. Long just waved a dismissive hand. "Market fluctuations, construction delays. It happens. Tell them to keep paying or they'll lose their deposit." Standard contract clause. I looked at the young couple's desperate faces. They were trapped. If they stopped paying, they lost everything. If they continued, they were pouring money into a bottomless pit for an apartment that might never exist. This wasn't just misleading. It was a deliberate, drawn-out torture. The social housing label, meant to help the poor, was being used as bait for the most vulnerable. The most insidious scam involved flipping undeveloped land. Horizon Estates would buy large tracts of agricultural land cheaply. Then, without proper permits or infrastructure, they'd draw up an elaborate master plan for a new urban area. We would then aggressively sell these plots, promising huge returns, creating artificial waves of price increases by spreading rumors of major government projects nearby, or by having our own staff pretend to buy plots at inflated prices. People would buy, hoping to resell for a quick profit, but the development would never materialize. The land would remain barren, untransformed. The buyers would be stuck with unsellable plots in the middle of nowhere, their money tied up indefinitely. When they tried to sell, they found there was no real market. Only other desperate investors trying to offload their useless plots. We were selling illusions, inflating a bubble that inevitably burst, crushing countless small-time investors. The constant pressure to lie, to see the desperation in clients' eyes and exploit it, began to warp my own sense of reality. My sleep became restless, haunted by the images of empty fields, unfinished foundations, and the crumpled faces of ruined families. I started seeing ghosts in every glossy brochure, every smiling client, every ambitious sales target. The concrete dreams we sold were leaving behind a trail of invisible scars, debts, and broken spirits. I overheard whispers about a special fund Mr. Long had. Money from frustrated clients who desperately needed their cash back would mysteriously disappear into this fund, only to be released for a hefty processing fee or penalty, essentially extorting them to get back their own money. It was a final, cruel twist of the knife. I knew I was part of a machine that didn't just sell fake land. It systematically broke lives. The thought of continuing to contribute to this cycle, to look another hopeful family in the eye and lie, became unbearable. The weight of my complicity, of witnessing so many shattered lives, became an unbearable burden. Every phone call from a desperate client, every news report about a stalled project, every pleading face in our showroom chipped away at my soul. The glossy brochures that once symbolized opportunity now felt like a gallery of my own failures. Each vibrant image a monument to a broken promise. Mr. Long's smooth justifications had turned into the hollow echoes of a con artist's lies. The final straw came with the old couple I had initially sold a plot to, the ones who dreamed of a quiet retirement home near a park. They came back to the office, not to plead, but with a quiet, devastating resignation. They had lost everything. Their life savings, gone. The small business they had run for decades, sold. Their health was failing, exacerbated by stress and despair. The park was still a barren field, and their plot was now just a legally contested patch of dirt. They didn't ask for their money back. They just wanted to know how they could live. They looked at me, not with anger, but with a profound sadness that pierced me to the core. That look, the utter defeat in their eyes, was a mirror reflecting my own complicity. I had sold them a dream that became their nightmare. I knew then that I couldn't continue. The money wasn't worth the price of my conscience. The next morning, I walked into Mr. Long's immaculate office. He was already on the phone, likely orchestrating another deal. "Mr. Long," I said, my voice steady, though my hands trembled slightly, "I'm resigning." Effective immediately. He slowly put down the phone, his charming smile replaced by a cold, calculating stare. "Resigning? Nom? You think it's that easy? You've seen too much. You know too many of our business practices." He leaned back, his voice a low, dangerous purr. "You walk out that door, and your reputation will be in tatters. You'll never get another job in this industry. And remember, we know where you live. Don't be foolish." His threats hung heavy in the air, but they felt hollow against the crushing weight of the old couple's despair. I had already lost my soul by staying. What more could he take? "I don't care," I said, meeting his gaze. "I can't be part of this anymore." I walked out, leaving behind the gleaming office, the persuasive pitches, and the shattered illusions. The scent of fresh paint and new dreams in the showroom now smelled like deceit. I didn't look back. I left my ID card and keys on the reception desk, shedding the last vestiges of Horizon Estates. It's been a year and a half since I left. I now work for a small, ethical real estate firm that focuses on genuine, legally sound properties. The commissions are smaller, but the sleep is sound. Yet, the shadows of Horizon Estates still linger. Every time I see a flashy billboard for a new dream project or hear about another land dispute, a cold knot forms in my stomach. The faces of the ruined families, the barren plots masquerading as prime real estate, the cunning smiles of the fraudsters, they are the true ghosts of the concrete dream. Haunting reminders of the dark underbelly where greed builds its empires on the ruins of people's lives. My experience in the real estate industry revealed a terrifying truth. The promise of a dream home can be a carefully constructed illusion, and scrupulous developers and agents prey on your aspirations, turning your life savings into thin air, leaving you with nothing but empty promises and legal nightmares. So, how can you protect yourself? Always verify the legal status of any land or project. Check permits, zoning, and actual ownership documents with independent lawyers or local authorities, not just the developer's agents. Never rush into a purchase, especially for early bird deals. Visit the actual site multiple times at different times of day and talk to local residents, not just people shown by the agent. Be extremely wary of aggressive sales tactics, inflated promises, or projects that seem too good to be true. Read every clause in the contract carefully, paying attention to disclaimers, penalty clauses, and refund policies. If possible, seek independent legal advice before signing anything or making a large deposit. Your biggest investment should be your safest. Thank you for listening to this raw confession from the dark underbelly. If Nam's story made you look at your next property investment a little differently, remember to like this video, share this crucial warning with everyone you know, and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another stark revelation. We'll continue to expose the hidden dangers in every profession. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and remember, not every dream home is built on solid ground.